Hello, welcome back to my world of stuff. Right, it's Sunday afternoon, the 27th of, what month is it? March. Yes, Mother's Day today. Yeah, I'm out and about. It's a beautiful day. And of course, as usual, I'm going to head into a dark room to watch a film. Now, the film I'm going to see today is one I knew was coming out, but wasn't really on my radar to go and see. It's the latest by Michael Bay. It's called Ambulance. I haven't really enjoyed a Michael Bay film probably since Armageddon. I haven't really liked any of the Transformers films. I haven't seen things like Pain and Gain. He's not a director whose work I gravitate towards because he's a bit noisy. However, this one has had fairly good reviews by Michael Bay standards, and it sounds like it could be a lot of fun. I'm in the mood for something which is a bit daft and mindless and destructive, and I think that's what this is going to give me. Stars Jake Gyllenhaal as one of a pair of inept bank robbers who end up following their bodged robbery, stealing an ambulance, which then leads to pretty much a 2-hour chase around Los Angeles. So it sounds like it might be a bit of fun. So I'm off to see Ambulance, and I will talk about it a bit later on.
Transformio TV! Leslie, Mario, Abracadabra!
The next day.
Hello there. Right, well, it's the next day now. It's Monday. I didn't get around to recording my video when I came back last night. So that's Ambulance. I have seen Ambulance, the new Michael Bay film. This wasn't, as I said, it wasn't really on my radar as one to watch. I'd seen the posters that came up a couple of months ago, and for some reason I rather naively thought, oh, Michael Bay's doing a searing indictment of the American health system. It looked like, is this going to be Hollywood's answer to Casualty? No, it isn't. It's a Michael Bay crash, bang, explodey, shooty film. It's what we expect from Michael Bay. I've not been a big fan of his films, as I mentioned. They are what they are. If you like mindless action, then fine. I'm not a big fan of the Transformers. I think I've seen the first 3 films. The first was tolerable. The second was one of the noisiest, most mindless things I've ever seen. The third was slightly better. I think I sort of bailed out there. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of Michael Bay. So I wasn't really expecting a lot from this film. So I'm quite pleasantly surprised to report that actually I rather enjoyed it for what it is. It's not a great film. It's not one of the films of the year. It's not one that will bear really repeated viewings, because once you've seen it, you've seen it, really. It's based on apparently a 1980s Dutch film, which I've not seen, but I can't imagine that this bears a great resemblance to the original film. For the start, the original was 80 minutes long. This is 2 hours and 20 minutes long. My first comment about the film is it's far too long. It is too long. My second point about the film is that the first half an hour is probably the best of it. And then it does become, it's exciting, but it's very repetitive and it's very one-note. And it has, as people have said, it's got elements of speed and Fast and Furious, those sorts of films of sort of vehicles moving at high speed. As I said, the first half an hour I found quite engaging because it was the sort of human side of things. We start off with this character, Will Sharp, who's played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen III. He's struggling. He's trying to get a loan for medical supplies for his wife, who needs urgent treatment, his wife and young child. He can't get a decent job, so he goes to see his adoptive brother. Now, Will was adopted into the father of Danny Sharp, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. They've drifted apart over the years, and he just goes to see him. He wants to borrow some money. He just wants some help. Danny's not able to offer him financial help, but he does give him the opportunity to make quite a lot of money. Now, Danny's not a good lad, not a good boy. He's a bank robber, like his father. His father was a notorious criminal, and Danny's gone down the same path. He's trying to give it up, but the opportunities have arisen for the sting of a lifetime, if you like, by stealing something like $34 million in a bank heist. Danny's reluctant. Will is reluctant, obviously, as you think you would be, but the lure of the money, and Danny sort of sells it to him as quite an easy job. They go along and get involved, and of course it all goes horribly wrong. But the clever, I suppose the interesting structure of the film, it introduces us to sets of characters who we follow throughout the film. We then meet a young paramedic who's just joined up with his more experienced partner, played by Eliza Gonzalez. Her name's Cam. And they establish their relationship quite well when they rescue a young girl from a traffic accident. She's been impaled on a piece of metal. They get her to hospital, and Cam explains to the newbie that, you can't take all this person. You can't worry about these people. You take them into hospital, they have to go on to the next job and not think about the life or death situation. So it establishes that she is a slightly harder character. She's experienced. She's known pain and difficulty throughout her life. Then we meet these two cops, who one of them is a young lad called Zach. He's just out of the academy. He's just joined the LAPD, and he fancies this young girl who works in the bank. His partner decides that they need to go there. He needs to ask her out, and of course that sets off a chain of events that leads to the whole bank heist going horribly wrong. A massive gun battle on the streets of LA with the police and helicopters and God knows what. Young Zach is injured, and Will and Danny have no choice but to hijack the ambulance that comes to take him away. And then they embark on this high-speed, high-stakes and highly unlikely chase around Los Angeles with the entire LAPD in hot pursuit. Zach has suffered a couple of gunshot injuries, so Cam's trying to keep him alive. Danny's getting increasingly aggravated, and Will is getting increasingly desperate. So that's the basic scenario. There's not a lot to spoil in this film because it follows what you'd expect of that sort of film. I was just looking before I recorded this video. The budget's only $40 million, and it looks like a much more expensive film. I was expecting a budget of $100 million, to be honest, because it is a big, spectacular film. It's a long film. A lot of it was filmed during the pandemic, and you can see that because the streets are quite empty in a lot of scenes, which is obviously the situation when it was filmed in the summer of 2020 or early 2021. But I did find it enjoyable in this very sort of brain-off sort of manner. I mean, you have to admire the artistry of Michael Bay, whether you like his films or not. He knows how to do action scenes. He knows how to do gunfights and explosions and all that sort of Bayhem, as it's called. Does it very well. And as I said, I was interested. The first half an hour was quite well done in terms of the characters and the sort of building up to the actual situation itself. It's a good script. I think it's quite a good script. There's some nice bits of humour in there as well, which are sort of those bits of humour where people are in an extreme situation and then something comical happens, or they go down a slightly comical conversational route briefly, and that's quite amusing and quite diverting in a film like this. It's quite an intelligent script. So yeah, the action is frenetic and fast and furious and non-stop. There is a sort of strange sort of plot irony in the fact that Zach, this policeman, has been injured and they're desperate to save his life in the back of the ambulance because, oh my God, you can't kill a cop. We mustn't kill a cop. We're finished if we kill a cop. And yet the rest of the film, police cars are smashing into walls, crashing off bridges, exploding. I think they must have killed about 200 cops during the adventure. Yet they're concerned about this one who's severely injured in the back of the ambulance. But I think in the end, you don't apply necessarily rules of logic to films like this. You're there to sort of wow and gasp at the effects and the action. I think what's particularly impressive is lots of really interesting drone shots of very fast-paced shots between buildings and cameras sort of swooping. And this is the good thing about drone cameras. You can do those sorts of things now. Some really inventive, adrenalized shots of swooping and zooming in between things. It's, for what it is, it's perfectly entertaining. I mean, as I said, it's far too long. It shouldn't be 2 hours, 20 minutes. They could have wrapped it up in 2 hours. But it does enough to make you care about the characters, bearing in mind that these are two criminals. You don't like Jake Gyllenhaal's character very much, because he's just ruthless. And once they go down this rabbit hole of this situation that they're in, there's no turning back for him, and he becomes increasingly desperate and increasingly manic and increasingly unlikable. Whereas, to be fair, Will, you do sort of feel some sympathy for him. He's stupidly got himself into a situation he shouldn't have, for the best of motives. And then when things get out of control, he tries to sort of do the right thing as much as he can. So it's an interesting from that point of view, but we're not there for character stuff. We're not there for human interest, really, but it is there. If you're looking for it, there's a bit of it there, but you're there for the car chases and the helicopters and the explosions and the massive gunfights, and there's lots of gunplay, lots of snarky dialogue, and all in all, I had a pretty good time with it, really. Like I said, I could have done with it being a bit shorter, but for what it was, it's perfectly enjoyable. Certainly won't be in my film of the year list, but it's something that I don't regret seeing. And bearing in mind, a week ago, I had no intention of seeing it, but some of the reviews made me think, yeah, this might be a bit of fun on a Sunday afternoon. And you know what? It was. So I'm going to give Ambulance, I'm going to give it a big 7 out of 10, which isn't bad for a film of this nature. Right, thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, you know what to do. Press that subscribe button, which is there or there. Press the like button to leave a comment, which would be excellent. Tell your friends. And till I see you next time, I think you better keep taking the stuff.